What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Touchdown with Doug Smith, one of the best places on the internet to get NFL draft coverage. Today is a day. I have one of my favorite NFL draft prospects on this show. This guy is the first ever Canadian prospect to get who's a quarterback to get selected for the Reese Senior Bowl. Okay, I saw him with my own two eyes. Y'all know me. I do stuff virtually, but also in person too. So I worked the Hula Bowl, but then when I go to a Tropical Bowl, I see this guy drop. It was like a 40-yard dime right on the sidelines, right in the guy's bread basket. And I thought to myself, like, man, I got to get this guy on the show. Of course, shortly after that, NFL scouts, they practically kidnapped him from the media. Not literally, but he's a very popular guy with NFL teams right now. We're going to get into a story today. We're going to learn about the man underneath the helmet, so the human being as well, too. Ladies and gentlemen, coming out of Wilfrid Laurier University, quarterback. They call him the Dutch Rifle, Taylor Elgersma. Taylor, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing awesome. I'm excited to get on with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate you, man. Bro, what a journey, man. You did, was it 3 bowl games in 3 weeks? Is that right?
Yeah, I did the College Gridiron Showcase down in Texas, and then Tropical Bowl and Reese's Senior. So it was a wild month for me.
Dude, you did the triangle, man. You went from Texas to Florida to Alabama. Man, that is awesome, man. Being able to take in, you just got such an amazing journey, man. I watched pretty much every interview you did online, man. So again, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come hang out today. Take us from the beginning. For those who don't know you, where are you from originally?
Yeah, so I'm a Canadian boy, born and raised in London, Ontario, and I was a hockey player growing up. So for me, like the goal was always to make the NHL, and then high school came around, and one of my buddies was like, "Do we need a quarterback?" He saw me out there throwing, and he pulled me aside. He was like, "Come on out, join the team," and I fell in love with football immediately. You know, for me, it was the quarterback position is such a cerebral position. And I was always a captain on my hockey team. So being able to like, encompass the cerebral part of the position, the leadership involved in leading a huddle and leading a team, and also the physical traits. I mean, I fell in love immediately. Played out my high school career, committed to Laurier, and the rest is kind of history.
Bro, that's sick, man. And you mentioned growing up, you were a hockey player, man. Hockey's a tough sport, bro. I could barely skate. I skate like I don't know, chopping blocks with my feet, man. It is tough, man. What kind of hockey player were you, man?
Yeah, I was a big tough defenseman. That was my role always, is protect our skill guys. I was a big penalty killer, shot blocker. Hit and fight when needed. But that was kind of my role. I was the enforcer on the back end.
Man, that's super dope, man. And I gotta ask, like, a lot of football players, they've played basketball, wrestle, baseball. You got the toughest of those, hockey. Man, how do you think those skills that you've gained from playing hockey add to the toughness of you being a future NFL quarterback?
Yeah, I think that I definitely, got my character and my leadership styles from hockey. Hockey is a sport where you have to be tough, you have to be passionate if you want to be the leader of the locker room. And I think that, hockey really taught me those lessons. Like I said about, the type of player I was, the guy putting my body on the line for my teammates. And I think that being a quarterback, you have to be a bit of that, battle warrior, the guy that's leading the guys, into battle. And I think that I kind of got that mindset from hockey for sure.
That's amazing, man. I heard you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Is that right?
I am, yeah. Being close to Toronto, my dad raised me right.
That's cool, man. That's awesome, man. Yeah, they're a great team, man. Who's your favorite player from the Maple Leafs?
I mean, got to go with our captain, Austin Matthews. He's pretty special, pretty fun to watch.
That's sick, man. That's sick. Now I heard you didn't start playing high school football till sophomore year of high school. Man, were there any like NFL players that you kind of like, man, I really like the way he plays the game. I really like this quarterback that you watched growing up?
Yeah, for me, I'm a big Matt Stafford fan. I talked about that toughness and the way that he leads. I think that, he leads in a way that I really admire. And I think he leads in the right way. I think, in terms of his play style, he understands how to layer the football. He gets the guy, his playmakers the ball in space, and he lets them go make plays. And obviously, he's been doing it at a high level for a long time. So he's a dude that I really, look at and like to watch.
That's cool. That is very cool. Yeah, Matthew Stafford, he's still playing great football, play of football, even at the end of his career, man. So Huge shout out to him. Now, I was reading somewhere online that in playing Canadian college football, a lot of people don't know that there's even Canadian college football. I actually heard of Laurier. I've been doing this for about 5 years, this draft series. So I interviewed Chris Aki. You ever heard that
Yep.
name?
Yeah.
Chris Aki's my dog, man. Shout out to him. Actually, fun fact. He is the first, I want to say he's the first ever interview I've ever had on this show. Ever.
Wow.
Yeah, so
He's a great player
fun
too.
fact. Oh, what was that?
I said he's a great player too.
Yeah. Oh, bro,
Warrior
absolutely. Like
legend.
CFL legend, man. He had a brief stint in the NFL too. Like great dude. So that's the first time I heard of Laurier. I was like, wow, like there's college football out there. That's so dang cool, man. And I learned that the field is a bit wider. That being said, how do you feel that that's going to take and transfer to the NFL, and how is that going to take and give you an edge?
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of nuances between the Canadian and American game that are different. And you talk about the field size. That was one that I noticed when I was down there at the Senior Bowl and Tropical and all the games was how tight the field throws are. For me, it's essentially throwing. My field in Canada is essentially throwing sideline to sideline on the American field if you were on the left hand. And so if both sides feel like a boundary to me, the field side in the American game feels like a big boundary. And so just learning how to get the ball up and down a little bit faster, it's not an eye thing or an arm thing. For me, it's a feet thing. I'm used to, if I'm throwing a field corner, I can take a big, long three, big hitch and let that thing fly with lots of air. Where in the States with the quicker guys in the quicker sideline, the ball's going to get up and down a lot faster. And so I think that was something that I was working with throughout the week.
Man, I love that, dude. And your knowledge, just even hearing you talking, like I know you started sophomore year of high school. It sounds like you've been playing since you were 5, dude. Like your knowledge, you're a super cerebral, intelligent football player, man. Who are some people who helped to pour into you early on in your journey and maybe still do today?
Yeah, for sure. I first want to give a shout out to my offensive coordinator, Coach Todd Galloway. He runs a system that allows quarterbacks to grow and evolve. We had a very, you could call it a West Coast system. We had a lot of high RPO plays. We put the ball in my hands a lot to make decisions, and the more decisions that you make, the better at decision making you get. And so I think that I would give a shout out to him and my head coach, Michael Falks, for having a ton of trust in me, developing me throughout my time. But I think for me, when you talk about the cerebral part of the game and growing in that aspect, I was fortunate enough to go to 3 professional training camps, 2 with the Toronto Argonauts and 1 with the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the CFL, and learning 3 pro playbooks after my freshman year, my second year, and my third year at university, and being able to practice with those guys and learn those terminologies, be coached up by those coaches. I'll give a shout out to Coach Mike Miller at the Toronto Argonauts. He really put time into developing me and committing, to making me, develop to a pro quarterback at a young age, right after, my freshman year of college. And so I think that he'd be someone who's going to give a lot of credit to as well.
That's amazing, man. And watching some of your throws at the Reese Senior Bowl, and then even see you in person, whip the ball super far downfield and accurately. I mean, you see these guys on YouTube and they're like, there's these YouTube quarterbacks, but they can't really put on pads and go do the same thing. Now you're actually out there doing it, man. I'm curious to know, what's the furthest that you can throw a ball?
That's it. I get that question a lot, and it's interesting because if you were to line me up and just throw it as far as you can, I would not throw it as far as if I came out of a play action fake and I saw a receiver down the field and you just have to let it fly. I think I can throw the ball probably close to 70. I don't know. I've never lined up and just thrown it from the goal line, but I definitely think you get your eyes out of a play action fake. You see your receiver on a deep post, you let that thing fly, and we can get it down there for sure.
Love it, man. You're a really tough player, and shoot, you played the toughest sport out there outside of rugby, which is rugby on ice, hockey. Is it safe to say that you have a chip on your shoulder?
Yeah, I think that, chip in the right way. I mean, for me, that chip comes from, working hard and making sure I'm doing the right things every single day because I know, that my path is a bit different than a lot of the guys in this draft class. And so, not a chip in a way that I feel like I'm, overlooked or owed something or, in a negative way. But I think for me, it kind of manifests itself in like understanding that my path was different and I've gone through different adversity everyone has. And so kind of using that to fuel my work ethic and fuel, my choices on a daily basis because I know that, I don't have room for error. I have to be the best version of myself every single day.
And being nosy on Instagram, man, I see you are a fan of Jesus, man. I thought that was really cool, man, to see in this world that's so dark. You know, you have such a love for the Lord, man. Would you mind talking about that real quick?
I would love to talk about that. I think that I really appreciate you noticing that. That's something that I, wear with pride. I think that, you know, having a faith based background, growing up in a faith based home, my parents always, raised me to love the Lord. But I think that, on everyone's journey of faith, they have to kind of make their faith their own at some point in their life. And for me, that really came in my second year of university. I really committed to, my faith being mine and being an influence and a light for the Lord, with the platform I was given within my locker rooms, but also, people that don't know me and they just know me as a football player and being able to kind of showcase the Lord's light through football. And so that's something that, I care a lot about. And I'm super grateful and feel super blessed that the Lord's chosen me to kind of go down this path of football, do something that I love, and hopefully I can, share his love along the way.
I love that, man. Praise the Lord, man. For me, I grew up atheist and I accepted Christ the weekend I was gonna, end it all, and speaking of edited terms for YouTube, and I accepted Christ that weekend. I had a family friend share the good news of Jesus with me, man. And it's I'm 36 now, married with kids, man. So I've seen the work of the Lord, man. So I know your platform's gonna be really, really big. So thank you so much for sharing that.
That's an amazing story, man. I think that the Lord moves in powerful ways, so I appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Man, what are some of your hobbies outside of football, man? When you just got some downtime, what are some things that you like to do?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm a big guy that my head's in the game so much. I need to decompress on my way from ball, and so we touched a bit on faith, and for me, that looked like Bible studies on Wednesday nights and church on Sunday nights, and so that's definitely something. But also in terms of just like kicking it with the boys, I like golf. Go hit a golf simulator or go hit the range. In Canada, we got to hit simulators more, a lot more than you guys got to do in the states. But that I'm a big cards guy. I like playing euchre, poker. But also, chilling with the girlfriend. I give a lot of time to this game, and so making sure that when I do get those off hours, I'm giving time back to people that I love.
That's cool. That's cool. I didn't realize that. Like, yeah, you don't hear about too much like golf courses in Canada, but yeah, it would make sense for the simulator for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. I gotta ask you, man. Let's say it's your 2 minute drill, right? Your team is down by 4 points, so you got to get a touchdown. It's touchdown or nothing. 2 minutes left in the game, man. What are a few plays, a few scheme offensive schemes that you feel will not only make your skills pop, but will put your team in position to take and win?
Yeah, the first one that comes to mind, I love this play in 2 minutes because you're getting a lot of two shells. So whether it's two or four, we're trying to cancel the middle of the field and open it up to hit a bad dig. So I would if you want to just line up in a 2x2, run a cancel corner or a corner pump from two, bad dig from one, trying to wrap the will linebacker. And then from the field, you could run that same sort of cancel the safety skinny corner. You could even run it with a corner post if you want to try and get behind his head, and then some sort of check down like a drag or a Omaha whip back to replace a little middle linebacker, and we're just trying to open the middle of the field up and hit something down the middle on them, get a big chunk play to get 2 minute going, and I think that that's for me something that I've ripped a lot of down in Canada is those kind of bad dig windows. That's very popular for us because we see a lot of too high shell.
Man, that's awesome. That is awesome, man. And then watching, you did a few rollouts at the Reese Senior Bowl, man. You look like you got some wheels on you, man. I don't want to put words in your mouth, man, but are you? Do you like to get mobile from time to time? I know you're like a pure pocket QB, but
Yeah, for me, I'm a type of quarterback that like I don't ever drop back in the pocket thinking to run. But when running lanes are there, I'm gonna run with my pads down. That's how I like to say. I think I got some like game speed. Like I got juice when I run the football. And it's not. I'm a big guy, and so I like to play with my pads down. I like to try and move. The change with my legs sometimes, especially when your team needs it. And I think as a quarterback, for me. Sometimes I gotta learn when to slide, when to run out of bounds, not just take the extra hits because I want to put my helmet in there and put my pads down. But I definitely love to show the guys, my passion for the game with the way I run the football.
I love it, man. I heard somewhere online, it might have been one of your college coaches that you're amazing in the pocket. And for a lot of other quarterbacks, where they would get rid of the ball or try to just run away, you will stay in there even if it's dangerous, man. Talk about the courage that you have in that area, man, and do like just your tenacity to win.
Yeah, I think that that's a big way that your quarterback can show you guys how much he cares about the team. My job is to get the ball into the playmaker's hands, and you talked about running and stuff like that. But ultimately, the job of the quarterback is to be the point guard of the offense and to distribute the ball to the guys that are supposed to have the ball in their hands. And so that takes taking a shot. A lot of times throughout the game, you're going against these stud D linemen and. Your O linemen are in there holding up, and they got a tough job to try and block these elite pass rushers. Down after down. Sometimes they're going to lose, but as a good quarterback, you can make them right by standing there, delivering a strike with a guy in your face, moving the chains. And I think there's almost nothing more demoralizing for a defense than when, a defensive lineman wins clean, they get a good shot on you, and you still get a first down. You pop up first after they hit you. I think that, you pop up smiling and you would go run down to move the sticks. I think that's a big momentum swing for your offense.
I love it, man. I have a question going back to your college days, man. Obviously, let's say you have Joe Smith, right? It's a fictional guy, Joe Smith. He plays for Virginia Tech. He'll go sometimes out west to play, sometimes down south, sometimes in the Northeast. But you guys are tough. You guys are in the deep north, as we would call it. Like you're playing schools all throughout Canada, man. Talk about that toughness in that college schedule where it's like every game is a game, like it's in Buffalo, New York, essentially.
Yeah, for sure. I think that being in Canada, you learn how to play in cold weather and tough weather games. And I think that, the start of our season starts when the weather's warm. And so, you get a lot of nice days during the regular season, but playoff games in Canada are always won in cold, in snow, in rain, in wind. That's just what playoff football is. And that's how what playoff football has always been like for me. And so I think that, like you said, that builds a natural toughness too, especially, at these skill positions. You have to be willing to receivers. We need you to fit in and block in the run game and add into the run game. Down the stretch here, quarterbacks have to be able to deliver the ball in accurate manner, but also be able to operate an offense that can continue to move the chains. We're 3 downs here, and so we can't just stop throwing the football when it becomes freezing cold and -25 and all this stuff. Like you got to still be able to throw the football in it because we got to get chunk plays in the Canadian game, and so I think it definitely does build a natural toughness too.
I love that, man. I know Canada for being just an amazing talent pool that I almost get frustrated sometimes because I see some guys in Canada, not only in the CFL but in Canadian college football, man, where they're just ballers. Like I see guys on specific teams, like, oh my gosh, if he was on the Broncos, he would get over 1,000 yards, and if this guy was on this team, he would throw for this amount of yards. You guys have such an untapped talent. In your opinion, man, what would you say are some misconceptions about Canadian college football for those who are not quite familiar with Canadian college football?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people, like you said, there's a lot of unfamiliarity with Canadian college football, and I'll start by touching on the CFL topic that you just talked about. The CFL is full of ballers. Like I said, I've been able to be in 3 pro camps with them, and these guys are right there. A lot of these guys are NFL players or just near miss NFL players that are right there with the guys that are on the roster, and these guys can play football. So I'll start by saying that. And then when we talk about Canadian college guys, I think it's a market that's starting to get more recognition.
Mhm.
You notice Giovanni Manu and Theo Benedict from UBC who got picked up last year out of U Sports, and obviously Manu's a freak of nature who's out there for the Lions, who has the build and who has the physical abilities to compete at that level. And I think that you're going to start to see as more guys like myself can hopefully go and pave the way for guys coming out of U Sports, that the top guys, do deserve a shot, and that, I don't think we're any different than any other small school guys. That we've taken a lot of snaps and we've seen a lot of defenses, and now it's just like seeing which one of us can translate that to the NFL. And so I think that hopefully, as guys like me, Manu, Theo, we all continue to kind of pave that way. More you'll see more and more Canadians from U Sports getting a shot.
I love that, man. Hey, you're so spot on with that, man. I've noticed that, like, oh, we're starting to see some of these guys go in the draft. I mean, there was even a guy drafted from the Argonauts last year.
Yeah.
Dude, that's amazing, man. Like, there's one guy I think of, Deontay McMahon. He's a fan of the show.
Yep.
I had the pleasure of interviewing him. That guy's Alvin freaking Kamara. Like, you watch his tape, and I'm
Yeah.
like, and there's another guy, and forgive me in advance if I'm butchering his name. His last name's Silva or Sylvia. He plays for Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
dude, you put him on a team, he's Canadian Cam Scatterbo. Like
You talk about both, Quantes from the Argos and McMahon. I had the pleasure of being with both those guys in camp, and Stiggers Quantes was a baller throughout all of that camp, and he was a baller his rookie year in the CFL, and then you see he gets signed to the Jets and he's making an impact. So I think that he's a great example of a dude that played in Canada, plays 1 year, goes down to the Jets, and is now making an impact in the NFL.
Absolutely. And man, my last question of the day, man, obviously a lot of people are like, man, who is this guy Taylor? Who is this stud? But I have to ask you, man, what is something that you would like NFL teams to know about you that perhaps they may not know already?
Yeah, I think that I love this question because I've been asked a few times in interviews this week, and I think it's an important way that you answer it. I think physically, every team can evaluate physical traits themselves. They can watch a tape and they can, make a decision on my physical abilities. But for me, it's about selling who I am as a person, and who I am day in, day out. And for me, I think I bring a unique blend of, toughness and passion that we talked about to the position, but also, processing the game. And I think that, being a quarterback, you have to be able to be the communicator and the operator of your offense. And I think that's only done by building trust with the guys. And I think that, the way that I attack the game, the toughness, the passion, that helped guys want to play for me and want to trust me. And then when, you combine that with, processing and the cerebral abilities, I think that allows me to communicate. And so I think that being able to kind of have both sides of that coin, being able to communicate with my guys, but also play with that toughness and that passion is a unique blend that I think that I bring to the table.
Love that, man. Love that. Dude, whether you land on my favorite NFL team or not, you got a fan of me for life. I'm a Dolphins fan. I don't care if it's the Patriots. You got a fan of me for life, bro. I so hyped to see what the next level holds for you, man. Amazing man of God, amazing player, amazing guy on and off the field. And man, just seeing all the work God's doing in your life. And dude, it's crazy. Like, I want people to realize, watch this interview. This guy started sophomore year of high school, played at an elite level, he won the Heck Creighton, which is the Heisman Trophy equivalent of college football, right? And then on top of that, you play 3 bowl games, elevate. And then you go to a Reese Senior. You're the first ever Canadian quarterback to ever take and do that, man. That is amazing, dude. So, bro, salute to you, bro. And I'm excited what the next few months are going to be in store for you, man.
I appreciate that. I think you hit the nail on the head. God's doing pretty amazing things, and I'm just blessed to be on this journey, and I'm going to keep going.
Yes, sir. Amen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, comment below. Let us know how this interview made you feel. I'm going to have all the links to his social media stuff in the description of this video. So be sure to give him a follow, get inspired, because I know I certainly am. And we'll see you guys next time on The Touchdown with Doug Smith. Thank you for watching another episode of The Touchdown with Doug Smith, where we have exclusive NFL content and exclusive NFL interviews. Be sure to hit that like and that subscribe button. Follow us on social media. See you on the next one.